Am I the asshole for calling a girl ugly in front of all my friends? I, 23 female, am a lesbian. I've known most people of my main friend group since school days. We're 11 people, 8 of us went to middle and high school together. I came out to them in March 2023. Coincidentally, our group got a new member around the same time, Mary, 24 female. I came out shortly after she got added to all of the group chats, and she made a joke about how she awoke something in me. I laughed it off and thought that was it. Well, it wasn't. She would repeatedly make these jokes about how she was my gay awakening, because apparently it was a really weird coincidence that I came out right after she joined the friend group. After a while, it stopped being funny, and I took her aside. By that point, it had been going on for 5 months, and told her that these comments make me uncomfortable, and asked her to stop. She brushed me off. The comments didn't get any less, and she started making them in front of people outside the friend group too. It became really annoying, and whenever she said these things, I made a point of correcting her, but she always kind of laughed about it. I tried joking back that she wasn't my type, but I think my constant insisting that she was lying made it seem like she was right, if that makes sense. It was frustrating. 2 days ago was my final straw. We went to a party and Mary knew a girl there, Jeannie, 24 female, and waved the rest of us over to introduce us. Turns out Jeannie was also gay, which Mary made a point of telling me directly. Before I could say anything, she turned back to Jeannie and pointed at me and went, "She's gay too, you know? But don't get your hopes up too high. She kinda has a crush on me." I was really annoyed and said, "You know that's not true. It's not true. Stop telling people that. You don't need to be embarrassed. I'm pretty hot," in a joking tone. I snapped at her. That's a weird way to say effing ugly. And she went quiet and excused herself. Yesterday, I got a long message about how hurt and disappointed she was. Most of our mutual friends are on my side, except for 2 who weren't there and refused to take sides. Fair enough. But a lot of other people who witnessed it have been blowing up my phone over how mean what I said was. Now I'm wondering if I overreacted. Am I the asshole? Edit. Typo. Not the asshole. Next time she does it, tell her that that's a really weird way to try and flirt with you. Sounds very much like she's interested in you. Not the asshole. Most commenters seem to think she has a crush on you. However, my read is a little different. I think she's jealous. My guess is you're more attractive than she is, so claiming you have a crush on her, she simultaneously is telling available women that you're emotionally unavailable and that she's a catch. This woman doesn't sound like a real friend. Or she's just so unbelievably full of herself that she genuinely thinks no one who's attracted to women cannot be attracted to her. Either way, it sounds like a bad person. If someone says they're uncomfortable with a joke you're making about them, then you stop making the joke point blank. Anyone who doesn't is not a real friend. Not the asshole. You asked her multiple times to stop and that she was making you uncomfortable, and she kept it going. Not the asshole. And I suspect the others in your group were also tired of her comments. Are you taking? Yes. Was your comment justified? Also yes. Sometimes you need to be a jerk to get someone to back off, and that's okay. The part where your friends are on your side speaks volumes to how awful she's been about this stupid joke of hers. Everyone sounds fed up with her. Not the asshole. Unfortunately, some people are so dense that you have to hurt their feelings to get them to shut up. You put up with it for far longer than most people would. This situation is definitely frustrating and uncomfortable. It's understandable that the person reached their breaking point after continuously being harassed and belittled by Mary. It's not fair for Mary to make inappropriate and offensive comments about someone's personal identity and then play them off as jokes. It's clear that the person has repeatedly asked Mary to stop, but she continues to disregard their feelings. It's important to stand up for oneself when they feel disrespected, and clearly, the person felt that they had to take a stand in that moment. It's good to see that most of their friends support them. And it's also important to recognize that some people can be oblivious to how their words and actions affect others. Are there any other instances where Mary has crossed the line and made inappropriate comments? How has this situation affected the dynamics within your friend group? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. Am I the asshole for kicking my brother and his family out after he tried to give me a whore-a-vention? I am having a hard time feeling remorseful, and I am unwilling to apologize for calling my brother out and asking him to vacate my property. I have given him many chances to stop this behavior, and my brother won't stop shaming me for having been a stripper before I got my prestigious job. These are his literal words. I'm a nurse anesthetist. He has been making offhand remarks about me having been a stripper since he found out 6 years ago. He gets on these long tirades about how I am ungodly, unholy, and that the sins I committed can never be forgiven unless I repent and let Christ into my heart. I am not religious. I'm certainly not a Christian and will never be one, but my brother refuses to accept this. Also, I only started stripping because of his drug and gambling addiction, which ruined mine and our parents' lives. He remortgaged their house, took out loans and several credit cards in our parents' name, and even sold our parents' identity to his former dealer. I didn't know how bad the situation was until I came home one day from university and found strangers living in our house. My father was too embarrassed to let me know they were living out of their car. They also never reported my brother to the police because my parents didn't want him back in prison. Last time he went in for 2 years, me and my parents were blackmailed to pay his prison debt. So when I found out my parents, baby sister, and baby brother were living out of their car, I decided to work as a stripper. I made good money, and with that money, I was able to house my family, pay off my parents' debt, my brother's debt, and put my younger siblings through college/university. During that time, I also paid for his rehab, and he got his life together. Now he is happily married, employed, sober, and with a child on the way. By the way, I paid for his wife's IVF treatments. Last Sunday, our parents invited some people over for a big catered dinner. My brother and his wife thought this would be the perfect time to turn it into what he called a whore-a-vention and embarrass me in front of all the guests. I completely lost it. I was so enraged that I spent most of the evening cussing him and my sister-in-law out. I reminded him that I would never have been a stripper if he hadn't tried to ruin us. On Monday, I drew up an eviction notice and sent it to him. I want to cut all ties with him and his family. I am truly done with him. Almost everyone is telling me I am right in being angry, but that it's terrible to kick him and his wife out when they are due to have their first child in 9 weeks. My parents are begging me to forgive him. And honestly, I feel like I have been, and I am being reasonable. I've given them 90 days. I am done being called the whore of Babylon and the downfall of mankind. Apologies for the length, but I thought I needed you all to know this much as possible, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. I had to repost this because the moderators locked it down for breaking the rules. I have edited and reposted it for judgment. Thanks. Edit. For clarity, I stripped for 5 years and used the money from that to claw myself and family out of debt and pay for my brother's rehab. I haven't stripped in over a decade. I paid for my sister-in-law's IVF and bought the house my brother and his wife live in with my nurse anesthetist money. That is why he doesn't feel bad about asking me for help now, because this money wasn't made from sinning. Also, my sister-in-law is just as bad as he is. I wouldn't give him 90 days. I'd get some friends to throw all of your stuff out of the house. Change the locks and call the cops if he's trying to break in. I would never talk to your brother again. And if he ever does that stuff comments, ask him how his drug deals are doing. And how are the accommodations in jail? Yeah, he's born again, which is always a joke. He ruined your family and makes them sleep in the car and has the audacity to blame your past on everything else. And if you're so evil, why is he living with you? Forget his baby. Forget his life, go no contact with him forever, and talk to your parents about their reaction and what he's doing to you. Not the asshole. Forget the lot of them. Hopefully OP never has to talk to him again, but if she does, she should ask for all the money she paid for his rehab and bail back. not the asshole. I'm sitting here happily imagining you saying in front of the guests, well, you forced me to strip. If you hadn't remortgaged the house, making my entire family literally homeless, all so you could get more drugs, then I wouldn't have had to find the fastest way to earn the most cash to literally put a roof over our heads. I'm so glad you are now so noble and wonderful. Move out of my house and pay me back the thousands of dollars you owe me, you ah. He's a bigger AH, because not only is he using this against you, he's incredibly insecure and using bullying tactics to hide his own lack of capacity. Talk about a small dick syndrome. Can you imagine being one of the guests and just wishing to disappear off the face of the earth? Not the asshole. A person who thinks so little of you and treats you so poorly should not have access to your life. Yes, it is unfortunate that his family will need to find a new place at a time when they are expecting, but too bad. Your dignity matters. Listen, my parents begged me to turn a blind eye and to forgive my brothers so many times. I wish I didn't yield to their demands. That kind of poison harms you in ways that are not immediately apparent. Cut him off. OP's parents are assholes here too. Imagine letting two of your kids live out of a car rather than have your oldest son face the consequences of his own poor choices. Honestly, I would consider distancing from the parents too. They have let OP and her siblings suffer at the hands of the brother for far too long. It's too much. They are pressuring her to continue submitting to such treatment. No, you are not the asshole at all. Your brother's consistent belittling and attempts to shame you for your past as a stripper are cruel and disrespectful. Despite the fact that you made the difficult decision to support your family financially after your brother's addiction wreaked havoc on their lives, he continues to demean you instead of showing gratitude. The fact that he tried to publicly humiliate you during a family gathering is completely unacceptable. Given the history of your brother's actions and the emotional toll it has taken on you, it is understandable that you have reached your breaking point and have chosen to cut ties with him. You deserve to be treated with respect and should not have to endure ongoing ridicule from someone who should be supportive and grateful for your help. Maybe you should remind Mr. Religious High and Mighty of what God has said about judging others. Matthew 7:1-5. Judge not, that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. This is an incredibly intense and shocking situation. I'm finding it difficult to understand how someone could treat their own family member in such a disrespectful and hurtful way. It's not just sad, it's outrageous. This person went to incredible lengths to support their family financially and get them out of a dire situation. And this is the thanks they get? It's astonishing. How can we reward this family member for their extraordinary generosity and kindness over all those years? The fact that the brother and his wife tried to publicly shame and humiliate the person in front of guests is beyond belief. And on top of that, expecting them to continue helping financially? It's ludicrous. Tell me, how do you think you would have reacted if you were in the same situation? What's the right thing for the OP to do now? Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.